Welcome to Forensic Friday.
Where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all.
I'm present.
You are looking cuter by the second, though, I have to say. Like, you're an adorable pregnant person.
I appreciate that. I don't feel adorable.
No, I believe that. I just don't know where you're going to put 3 more months of baby.
Dude, I don't know.
I don't know.
I know. I feel like I'm at my capacity.
You look like you're ready to have a baby.
I know.
It's a little much.
One of my clients today was like, she was like, how are you feeling? Whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm good. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to grow anymore. And she was like, you're actually pretty small for being pregnant. And I was like, says you. I was like, I feel like a whale.
You have a beach ball, bowling ball. It looks
I
like
know.
bowling ball size.
Feel like I have a bowling ball.
It will get bigger though. Think watermelon.
Where's it gonna go?
I don't know. Well, and I told somebody who saw you and they know who you are, who came into my office and they were like, "Well, what is she gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't know, she's gonna tip over." Like, I really think I'm gonna need to just bring a wheelbarrow, tip you into it, take you to your sessions.
Yes.
I have a low center of gravity. Like I could carry that well. I don't know what you're gonna do.
I don't either. I'm gonna just fall forward.
I think you're just gonna fall right over. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Good thing you like lift weights and stuff, because I feel like you're gonna need that.
I know.
Strong back.
I'm feeling that.
Oh my gosh, I know.
It's insane.
Well, we have quite the case today.
I'm
So this
stoked.
is a hard one, but with just a true badass in the middle of it all.
I know almost nothing about this case.
I know, and I think it's going to be good. You're going to get mad a little bit, a lot bit. But really, I think that this is a true survivor,
Mm.
hardcore survivor. And I think because of her, we're going to see some things change. So I
Okay.
know it's kind of exciting. It's a girl power episode for sure.
Love that.
So we are going to talk today about the incredible Gisele Pelicot.
What a cool name.
I know. And she's
Giselle.
Gisele. I mean, I could never be that cool or beautiful to have the name Gisele. It's just a special, special name. Do you know what this reminds me of? I was
What?
thinking of Gisele, the supermodel, who defined Gisele for, everyone. Gisele whatever. Married to Tom Brady. Was married to Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, she's beautiful.
Do you know what my mom did?
What?
My mom DM'd Tom Brady and told him to go back to his wife.
Of
I
course
kid
she
you
did.
not. On Instagram. I don't know what exactly she said, but it's true Tina, in true Tina fashion. And you know what? She's made contact with a few people, like one of her favorite authors, the gal who was in the cult.
Okay.
She does the little bit culty podcast. Sarah,
Okay.
I think that's her name. Anyway, she's very cool. She was in The Vow on HBO about the
Okay.
Nixium cult. So my mom reached out to her, had a little Instagram exchange with her.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom, you never know when Tina's going to pop up in your DMs.
Did Tom Brady respond?
He did not. I'm thinking whoever runs his social media gets a lot of messages about his
Oh.
availability, love life, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But she gave it the old college try. She was like, go back to your wife.
But Giselle didn't want him back.
Well, that's what mom says now.
Mm-hmm.
I like
She
a woman
said,
who can
bye-bye, sucker.
set a boundary.
Yep.
Anyway.
And he's not that cute.
Oh, that's very cute.
Tom Brady?
Okay, let me tell you why I think this. So when I
Oh,
was in high school, he was on the cover of People magazine. So when he was way younger, and he looked real handsome. So then I had a little bit of a crush, which I know most people hate Tom Brady unless you love Tom Brady. And if you love Tom Brady, You love Tom Brady.
I know. I mean, I don't really care. I know he cries a lot.
He does does he cry a lot?
No, I'm kidding. He would cry. He like cries if he loses football games.
I would cry if I lost some of the football games that he's lost. I don't know that I would
Okay.
though. Would I? Remember when we looked at his combine picture? That is not attractive.
It kind of like screams crying after like you lose a game is like sore loser,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Well,
Okay.
okay. So our other Gisele
Yes.
Pelicot.
Share with me all the things.
Okay. So this episode, this is my warning. This is a heavy episode. So if
Okay.
you have a history of sexual abuse trauma, you may or may not want to listen to some parts of this. You can pause it, you can fast forward. I'm not going into a bunch of details at all.
Mhm.
But it's just a hard thing to think about what happened to her. The thing that's
Mhm.
great about her is she's a genuine badass. So we're gonna land there, I think. So one of the things that I wanted to cover right off the bat is that a man can rape his wife. That is a thing that can happen. People don't
Yes.
think that's a thing. That's a thing.
Yes.
So 10 to 14% of married women in the US experience marital rape.
Mm,
That's a huge statistic.
that's a huge number.
I mean, it's like 1 to 2 in 10. So if you think about getting a group of married women together, that's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you look more globally, about a third of women worldwide have been subjected to either physical or sexual intimate partner violence or
Mm-hmm.
non-partner sexual violence in their lifetime.
Mm.
A third of women. So that's just really hard. Those are just hard
Wow.
statistics. And one of the things we talk about with DV when we're doing evaluations, when we get into treatment, we talk a lot about consent and we talk a
Mm-hmm.
lot about healthy sexual relationships, you know? And it's always interesting being a woman having these conversations with men, but it
Mm-hmm.
is a little bit startling how little they know.
Right.
They don't know the laws, they don't know about
Oh, yeah.
consent, they don't know about
Well,
coercion.
yeah, I think a lot of, especially married individuals, it's not like the most common thing for men to want to like coerce their partner,
Yeah.
but they don't always understand the difference between like consent
Yes.
and compliance,
Yes.
right? I think that's a really big issue in marriages
Mhm.
and relationships is compliance versus consent. But yeah, I mean, I've talked to quite a few men who, when we bring up this idea of rape, like you can rape your wife.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's like a general sense of confusion.
So Nat, I want you to imagine something
Okay.
real quick.
Okay.
You get a phone call and your husband has been detained for taking upskirt photos of women in a supermarket.
I'd kill him.
Well,
I'm
this is
kidding.
where you and I, man, if we ever do anything, they're just going to go to this podcast and say they said what they were going to do.
I know. My gosh, I'm
We gotta stop
kidding.
telling on ourselves. I know
I'm
you would not
kidding.
kill him, but
You would never.
truly,
I'd be pissed though.
I mean, and it would be shocking,
Hmm.
you would think, unless this was a pattern, right?
Right. Right.
And I can tell you, she did not know
Mm.
the subject of this case today did not know that her husband had any kind of an issue with this. Okay.
Dang.
You may have guessed, but we're talking about Gisele Pelicot. This has been big
Yes.
news internationally, but especially in Europe.
Big news. And was this all recent?
Yes, very
Okay.
recent.
Okay.
So Giselle's in her 70s.
Yeah. I mean, when I Googled her, she's no spring chicken.
No, no, isn't she lovely though?
She is.
Like, oh my gosh, if I could look like her in my 70s, she's just lovely. You know what? Really, just classy. She just looks
Mhm.
classy and put together. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just a super fan, really, is what's happening.
Mm.
I'm one of the presidents of the Gisele Pelicot fan club,
Love that.
for sure. Like, put it on a t-shirt. So what happened in the Gisele Pelicot case is her husband was arrested after taking these upskirt photos. This was in September of 2020
Okay.
in a grocery store. And the cops are like going through his stuff, looking at his phone, looking at his
Mm.
computer, and they find videos and pictures and all kinds of stuff
Mm.
with Pellico having sex with an unconscious woman.
Oh my gosh.
So they show this to Giselle, and at first she doesn't even recognize herself. She doesn't even think it's her.
Mm. She just thinks her husband's doing this to someone else.
Yeah, and then she quickly realizes, and the police tell her, did you consent to this? This is you. Did you consent to this?" And she's like,
Mm.
"Does it look like?" I mean, I don't know what she said. I was not
Do
there.
I look consenting?
Yeah, I mean, clearly not,
Right.
right? Because you're unconscious.
Right.
So as they investigate this, Nat, they find out that she was raped 92 times by
Mm.
72 men.
Mm.
92 times by 72 different men
That's why. Over how long?
over that 9-year period.
Oh, wow.
So what Pellico was doing is he would connect with these men. And by the way, these men lived in the same area as her. Like
So
they
they
were
would like see
around.
her walking around and she's like clueless.
Yeah, she doesn't know what's happening.
Oh my
He
gosh.
would connect with them and invite them.
Mm.
And what he would do is he would drug her. That's why she was unconscious. He would drug her. And these men would assault her and he would film it. And then he stored these images and videos on his devices.
Mm.
We'll be right back. Eye-Opening Moments podcast are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
The sentencing just happened very recently, I think December, late November, early December, but the trial started on September 2nd.
Okay.
So Pellico and 50 other men were convicted of various charges related to rape and sexual assault,
Mm.
right?
Glad they were all convicted.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Pellico was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He was found guilty of aggravated rape.
Mm.
And all the other men were found guilty of various charges and were sentenced from 3 to 15 years, anywhere in there.
Wow.
The other thing that's really sick about Pellico, he's just a sick bastard. I'm sorry. I mean, that's just
Right.
where we are.
Yes.
We try to have empathy. Where I'm going to bring in some pieces that may have been going on, but the bottom line is this is a very sick individual.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that he did is he connected with another man, Jean Pierre Marshall, and
Mm-hmm.
convinced that man to drug and rape his own wife.
What?
Yes, so Jean Pierre was pursued by Pellico, and Pellico convinced him to do that to his own wife.
That's insane.
Doesn't that just like make your head explode? I feel like my head exploded when I first read about
Oh
this.
my gosh.
I was like, absolutely not.
You just wonder where these asshats come from.
Well, we're going to explore that.
Love that.
Because, as much as I wish we could just scoop them up in a big net and put them on Sex Offender Island, we don't get to do that.
I know.
But the good news is he is incarcerated, cannot hurt anyone, and they exposed a whole bunch of nonsense in the meantime.
Okay.
So Giselle made the choice to identify herself as the victim
Mhm.
in these cases, which is
Yeah,
incredible,
good for her.
especially with that many perpetrators.
Yep.
And it's an
Mm.
interesting case because here you have an older woman coming forward and really using this story to try to empower other survivors to come forward.
Yeah.
And in DV land, where we do a lot of our work, we talk about treatment victim advocates, we talk about victims. But the truth is, the victim community has really adopted survivor. They are
Mm.
survivors and they want to be referred to as survivor.
Mm. Good.
And Giselle is the ultimate survivor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And she helped nail his ass to the floor. And I'm very happy about
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
So I got a little bit of history. Giselle and Dominique were both born in 1952. So they're the
Okay.
exact same age, basically.
Okay.
And they got married in 1973.
Okay.
Giselle was born in Germany to a French family. She lost her mother when she was about 9, and her father was in the military. She had
Okay.
a very happy childhood, by all accounts, happy childhood.
Good.
At age 20, she met Dominique and worked in administration at the state electricity company.
Okay.
He had a rough childhood. That's all I can find. Rough childhood. I don't know details about his rough childhood except for one thing that I will share in a minute.
Okay.
He worked various jobs, including as an electrician, and then this is an important real estate agent. It says estate
Okay.
agent. I'm pretty sure that's real estate agent.
Okay.
They lived in Paris with their 3 children. And at some point in their marriage, Giselle had a 3-year affair with a colleague, and the couple divorced for a short period of time. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, they were having a bunch of financial pressure. There was a bunch of stuff happening. And then they ultimately remarried.
Wow.
That's interesting, right?
Yeah.
So tuck that away.
Yeah.
This asshat, as you would say, was
Mhm.
caught upskirting women in 2010 and fined 100
Mm.
euros. I
How
am
much
sorry,
is that?
but I know, like $100 ish.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. If somebody upskirts me in a supermarket, I want
Game
them to pay
over.
more than a speeding ticket.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Are you kidding me? That is so invasive and gross and whatever. And she didn't find out. Like he got a ticket or something and she just didn't find out. He's paid the fine.
Wow.
That would have been nice to know,
Yeah.
right? I
That
think we
is.
need laws that you inform the wife of all the things. Tell the
Oh,
wife,
for sure.
this kind of shit's happening. You tell the
Like, I
wife.
want to know what I just signed up for.
Absolutely. In 2013, they moved to southeastern France.
Okay.
Giselle liked to sing. Dominique liked to cycle. They were visited by their children and grandchildren, pretty frequently, and everything
Okay.
seemed normal.
Okay.
2020, bam, this is what we've talked about. He gets arrested. They found a camcorder, camera, and condoms in his bag, too. Wait till I tell you what his excuse was
Oh boy.
for taking these pictures in 2020.
Okay. I'm looking
And
up
he's
what.
already been in trouble for this, right? This is a decade later. He got in
Yeah.
trouble in 2010. Now we're in 2020. He said he was overcome with urges because his wife was away for a month.
Oh, shut up.
Oh
That's so dumb.
my gosh, it's her fault because she was away.
I'm trying to find what her husband looks like.
It's not great. No, we're so judgy.
What's his name?
Uh, Dominique Pelicot. And she's lovely. She's a lovely human.
Yeah, he's not great.
It's not great. It's not great.
He looks like he could be a talker though, like a schmoozer.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. There's not that schmoozy because he's upskirting people.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's not like he's having dates. He's got a camcorder. I don't know what he thought he was going to use the condoms for.
I don't
None of
know.
these women were going to sleep with him.
That is wild.
I know. He's nasty. Anyway.
Hmm.
So his reason is, oh, my wife was away for a month. I can't help myself. I'm going to upskirt all these people, which apparently in France is not a big deal. $100 fine, whatever.
That's ridiculous.
So what they found when they got into his electronics, okay, I'm going to go deeper into that. He
Okay.
had a private chat room without her knowledge. The website was run by a Bulgarian company operated by Isaac Steidl.
Okay.
This dude's evil. That's why I'm saying his name. Isaac Steidl.
Okay.
Evil. He ran this company, and the website was connected to more than 23,000 criminal cases from 2021 to 2024. The website was shut down in 2024.
Dang.
So I am,
Dang.
that just makes me so mad. Like, burn it
That's
down.
crazy. Yeah.
23,000 cases? Are you kidding me? So
Yeah.
this company, this Bulgarian company, basically created the way that all of this came together, which is just so gross. It just makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Okay. Dominique had Skype messages boasting of drugging his wife and inviting strangers to rape her
On what?
on Skype. They find Skype messages of him doing this. And imagine you're Gisele, right? Here's all this evidence coming out, and you're like, who am I with?
What? No,
What is
literally.
happening? I mean, can you imagine?
Literally. No.
Okay. So they find a USB stick. You're going to start to get big mad. So just hold on to your butt, okay?
USB stick. Okay.
There's a USB stick connected to his computer with a
Okay.
folder named abuse, basically ABUS, which
Okay.
means abuse, with more
Oh,
than 20,000 images and videos of the rapes, meticulously filed with explicit titles, dates, names, and all the perpetrators and the nature of the acts.
what?
Not only is he one of the worst sexual criminals of all time, but
Mm,
he is an organized son of a bitch.
that's crazy.
So he has the library.
It's like a serial killer, but for sexually offending his wife,
Yeah, I know. It's insane.
for
I've never heard of a
assaulting
case
his
like this.
wife.
Honestly,
No, that's wild.
I know. It took investigators 2 years to identify 50 of the 72 perpetrators.
Wow.
Guess how old they were?
This was all recent.
Hmm.
50s?
I mean, that might be a good average. The perpetrators ranged in age from 21 to
Oh,
68
shut up.
at the time of the rapes. 21 to 68, Nat,
And how old was she when she was getting raped?
in her 70s.
Oh my gosh. I mean, no, any age, it's horrific.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, this is the thing that blows my mind. So, I'm going
Mm,
to tell you a few more things, and I really want to know what you're thinking.
okay.
He recorded two daughters-in-law in the shower without their consent and shared them online.
His daughter-in-laws?
Daughter-in-laws. So imagine
Okay.
your father-in-law
Yeah,
records you
no.
in the shower and puts it online.
Did their sons find out? His sons?
Yeah, this is what they found on his devices.
Oh
Everybody
my
knows
gosh.
now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, it gets worse. Then they found two photos of his daughter when she was 30 years old, unconscious on a bed, as if anesthetized, and in her mother's underwear.
What?
Mhm. He never admitted to
It's
abusing his
super messed
daughter,
up.
but she not only has no contact with him, she wrote a book. Caroline Pelicot wrote a book, and I stopped calling you dad.
Wow.
I don't blame her at
I
all. Can
want
you
to read
imagine?
the book.
I know. So she's also a badass. Gisele's daughter is also a
Yeah.
badass. So I mentioned this before, but Gisele didn't initially recognize herself
Right.
because she was raped over 200 times
Mm,
when they counted what Pellico himself did to her as well.
mm,
And she talked about how her world fell apart.
yeah.
So, what are you thinking just about the crime itself? And then I'm going to come into kind of how this happened.
It's just wild. Like, and she had no clue that this was happening.
No clue.
That's like what's crazy to me is like
Hmm?
you would think you would know, like you kind of I don't know.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't feel right.
Yes.
It's just crazy that like what I mean, I'm curious of what he was drugging her with.
Hmm.
Um, Because, yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of, college kids who've done real stupid stuff when they were in college, and they'd say, like, I remember, but, it wasn't the best decision, but it's vague, like,
Yeah,
just crazy to have
nothing.
that.
No, she was unconscious.
That is so wild to
No
me.
memory, no memory.
Wow.
And
Would she be out for like a day or two?
I don't know. I think it
Okay.
was, I don't know. I would have to look into it. My understanding is it was like maybe hours at a time. So I don't know if he had people come at night. Couldn't be during the day.
Yeah.
Um,
That is
I'll get
so
into how
crazy.
he drugged her because then that'll make more sense. But
I'm
it's the
curious of
ultimate
what she was
betrayal.
drugged with because, like roofies, like people, you feel a roofie.
Mm-hmm.
You know
It's
what I
not a
mean?
roofie.
Well, it can't be because she would
Mm-mm.
know. She
No,
would,
yeah, it's
she
not a
would
roofie.
feel sick. Yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I mean, yeah, I don't get it. I don't
Mm-mm.
understand how he got away with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and the really terrifying thing, Nat, is if they had not caught him upskirting women in a supermarket, he'd still be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He would still be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, he's disgusting. So anyway,
Mm,
what happened is his wife was prescribed lorazepam to
okay.
help with sleep, so it caused her to be drowsy.
Mm-hmm.
He started adding it to her meals, drinks,
Mm,
etc., which allowed him to commit sexual acts which she refused to do when conscious. And then he
mm,
started using Viagra. So we've talked about
right.
this. Okay, if I want to make a generous assumption, and this is literally the teeniest bit I can give this guy, okay?
Right. Right.
Sometimes when people have a pornography addiction that runs rampant,
Yeah.
we just do bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger things.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so sometimes somebody will then expose themselves or they'll, do whatever. It just gets bigger because we need to do more. It's like
Yep.
tolerance
Yep.
in many ways, like you would have to alcohol. It's just a
Well, but
different
yeah,
thing.
it can be an addiction, and when it becomes that, we have to have
Yes.
more.
And I suspect that's what's happening with him. So
Mm.
I suspect he was highly involved in pornography and was trying to initiate things with his wife that she did not want to do. She was
Mm-hmm.
not interested. Also, any women who are listening to this who are over the age of 40 or 45, it's not that you don't want to have sex, but you might not want to be doing new things at 70. You might just be like,
Right.
"Hey, bro,
That's
can we just like
a little wild.
have a night and read or I don't
Yeah.
know, go out to a late dinner instead of an early dinner. Like
Oh
I'm
my
not wanting
gosh.
this crap, right? So
That's so wild.
this guy is using Viagra to do the things that he's doing.
Mm.
So then he started getting his own prescription as well. So he's getting sedatives. He got 450 pills in 1 year alone. Him. And then
Damn.
she has her prescription because she doesn't know what's happening.
Right.
Right? And he's drugging her this whole time.
Oh
He's
my
drugging her.
gosh.
So when you said, how would you not know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what we say. The body keeps the score.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that great book with trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So she started to have weight loss. Her hair
Mm.
was falling out. She would have memory loss, which you can imagine being on that many medications, that much medication. She would speak incoherently sometimes to the extent that she was worried she might have dementia or a brain tumor. So finally, she goes to the doctor because she's like, what in the world is going on with me? She's afraid.
Right.
But of course, Dominique goes with her. And Dominique tells the doctor, I think she's just exhausted from watching the grandkids.
Mm.
No doctors suspected that she was being drugged.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that they didn't do like a talk screen to see what was in her system.
Well, I think because of her age and
Yeah.
because her husband's, picture this elderly couple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Husband's sitting right next to her. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so worried. Sometimes she can't remember things. They're not going to jump to he's drugging her and assaulting her
No, I
and
know.
inviting strangers over. You know what I mean? Can you
That's
imagine?
so wild.
They're thinking, oh, this poor woman, and look at her supportive husband sitting there,
Mm.
concerned for her, and they watch the grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So in June of 2023, There was a 370-page indictment, and that was for the people who
Wow.
all got indicted. 51 men were indicted for rape. The 52nd died of cancer before he could be arrested.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is fine with me. The accused faced prison sentences of up to 20 years in prison. That was what they were facing. They were aged 25 to 72 at the time of conviction.
Okay.
Which that is I don't know why that weirds me out so much, but it's such a huge age range.
It is.
You know, like he was soliciting men to do this, all ages. Like that's a
Yeah.
50-year span of ages. It's wild to me.
And yeah, I just don't know, like, and we're not in, like, this isn't a part of our world, so of course we don't get it, but it's like, I just don't know who would do those things, you know?
Dominique Pelicot.
Well, yeah, obviously him, but like the people he reached out to, like, hey,
Oh
you want to
yeah.
come over and do this thing? Like, no, no, bro, that's weird and it's abusive and it's rape.
It's one of the scariest things because I started to think about, I've had a few cases in my career, not a lot, but a few.
Like, how many perpetrators were there?
Oh, over 70. There were 50 that they were able to find.
Right.
Over 70 men raped her, though.
That's insane.
Well, and this is not a huge geographical area either. So I am thinking about clients that I have worked with who
Mm-hmm.
have suspected things like this may have happened to them in their marriages. Okay. And I'm typically, I believe all survivors. I believe when people say that they've been victimized.
Yes.
And, it's always been so hard for me to imagine
Mm.
that a husband would do this to his wife, even with some of the horrific things we read about.
Yeah.
It's just the ultimate betrayal. It's just the
Yeah.
worst,
Yeah.
you know? I think we have some things to talk about with Dominique from a
Mhm.
psychology perspective.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't tell you what his response was to all of this
Okay.
because wouldn't you think maybe he would have some remorse for all this craziness?
My forensic brain says, no, I don't think he would actually, because he did the thing. But I would want to believe that he did, but I don't actually think he did.
So he used one of the excuses, reasons, cognitive distortions, whatever you want to call it, in his kind of defense. So one of the things that he said, the defense tried to say that she was an exhibitionist, all of this stuff, and her response was, "This is why survivors don't come forward."
Mm.
Is because of this kind of cross-examination and stuff. So she
Mm.
really stood up for survivors. But he basically said this all would have been okay if it hadn't come to light, if it could have kept going the way it was, because it wasn't really causing any harm.
Her hair was falling out.
I know.
Her
But
body was literally rejecting everything.
his take was, if it could go back to the way that it was, then there wouldn't have been the harm done of her knowing what happened. Isn't that nuts?
He's just super effed up.
I'm like, look, your goose is cooked, pal. So just like you're already in trouble.
Like, can't we just go back to the way that it was?
When
Are
you're
you
raping your wife, you and
insane?
50 of your closest neighbors.
Oh my God.
No,
Oh
I
my,
know it's so it's so bad.
it
It
makes
makes me
me
so mad.
angry.
I know. So, couple questions for you. What do you
What?
think are some of the motivations for his actions? Like, what the hell is going on with him?
I think it's what you were saying, and you and I have talked about this before, around the like sex addiction. I mean, he's
Yes.
like there, if I'm lowballing it here, he's a sex addict, right? Like that's like bare minimum.
When sex addiction is the low ball, you have quite a case.
Literally. So obviously there's like a really bad addiction there. And then
Yes.
yeah, and the fact that he just didn't really think he was doing anything wrong
Mm-hmm.
is baffling.
The thing that's wild about this is many of the men thought that Giselle's husband could consent on his wife's behalf.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Well, think about when we show the consent tea video, people Google it. It's wild, but
Y'all, please Google
it's
it.
funny, and the men laugh, right? Men and women laugh when they see that.
Mhm.
Women less than men, though. The men's groups kind of chuckle because it's so obvious. If you talk about sex as if you are making someone tea, all of a sudden consent becomes very obvious. You don't pour it down her throat. You don't force her to drink
Yeah.
tea. If she doesn't want to drink tea, you just let her not
She
drink
says
tea.
yes, and then you make the tea, and then she says no. You don't. You just move on.
You don't force her to drink the tea. Like
No.
it really is kind of pretty simple.
Oh my
But many of
God.
these men didn't realize they were doing something wrong because they almost believed that he could consent on her behalf,
Mm,
particularly if she was unconscious. So that's quite the patriarchal theory over there.
that's insane.
So we have sexual deviance, probably some level of sadism,
Yep.
a lot of control,
Yep.
right? Pellico really liked the control of this,
Mhm.
including who he invited over, documenting all of it. Like there's a little
Mhm.
bit of a mastermindy piece to all of that, too.
Yep. Yep.
So in his testimony, he said that he was raped by a male nurse when he was a child. That was one of the things that he blamed for his issue, which could have had an impact on his sexual development, whatever.
Right.
And then he blamed his wife's affair for leading him to feel suicidal. And he talked about how his behavior was an addiction, like you talked about. So
Mhm.
he almost paints a picture of some level of like trauma, revenge, addiction.
Yeah,
What's the
he's full
problem
of
with that?
shit. He's full of shit.
Well, yeah. Also, I mean, I don't know that he wasn't abused, okay? I can maybe give him that. But trauma, there's a lot of people who've been traumatized who don't do the crap that he did. But
Right.
also, pick a
Like
lane.
your wife cheats on you years before you get a divorce, then you get back together, and then you use that as an excuse.
Thank you. Yeah, that just
I'm
makes no
sorry.
sense. It falls
That's
apart.
ridiculous.
It falls
That's
apart real
ridiculous.
fast.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it falls apart because this is nonsense in the first
Right.
place.
Right.
All of it. Like, you never do this to someone ever.
No.
So, Dominique has been charged. So, after this happened, he was charged with the rape and murder of a 23-year-old real estate agent, Sophie, in Paris in 1991, and attempted rape of a 19-year-old real estate agent. Both women had been showing a man around an apartment when they were attacked.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the things that is really alarming to me in this case is what else did he do?
Mm-hmm.
So we know of those two things. So it's not like this was an escalation.
Right.
He was this bad for a very long time.
It just came out on other people.
Yes. This is 30 years before he got caught for
Mhm.
upskirting. 30 years before he may
Wow.
have raped and murdered someone. Isn't that nuts? And this
Mm-hmm.
happens, okay, when you think about the Moscow, Idaho murders, Brian Koberger, the
Yep.
theory that he may have killed other people, right? Our
Yeah.
theory about our female Dexter, Decca,
Yeah. Yeah.
that she likely killed other people or would have killed more in the future.
Yeah.
That's not a stretch here. So probably what happened is now they have his DNA and they start looking
Mhm.
at other cases and they're going to find, and who knows, there might be even more in the future that they find,
Yeah.
you know? Do you know about the concept of learned helplessness? This is one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So when you think about this learned helplessness in his case,
Mm-hmm.
there is kind of this element of like, well, my wife is gone, so I need blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like
No, it's right.
he's
Crap drives
kind of
me nuts.
wild. It's like
Yeah.
I'm helpless over my addiction. I'm helpless over my urges, all that
Mhm.
kind of stuff. What do you think about that?
It's dumb.
Fair, fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's taking the victim stance.
Uh-huh.
It's very external locus of control.
Oh yeah, all the things.
I just don't like it. Like, it's
I
dumb.
just don't like I
It's
don't
stupid.
like it.
It's just stupid.
I don't like it.
I don't
So
have much to say about it aside from that.
that's fair. You know
Yeah.
what? That's a hot take, Nat. We'll take that.
Yeah. Well, and
I
he
want
probably learned it from somewhere, like learned helplessness. He learned it, obviously,
yeah.
but that's
Well,
it.
yeah, I mean he's just basically like just a sad sack. I mean, that's where
Yeah.
we are, basically.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
like
so
Eeyore, but worse.
if Eeyore was a sex addict murderer, yes,
Exactly.
totally.
I don't know if he murdered anybody, but allegedly.
Oh no, he did. He was
He
charged
murdered
with it. Yes.
this dude?
Dominique has been charged with the rape and murder of a 23-year-old real estate agent, Sophie,
Oh,
in
shit. I
Paris in
missed the murder
1991,
part.
and attempted rape of a 19-year-old real estate agent.
Oh, I missed the murder part.
Oh, murder. That's why I'm saying Eeyore, sex addict, murderer.
Yeah.
All those things, that all fits,
Dang.
right? Okay. 41 of the perpetrators, remember they had about 50 of them?
Yeah.
41 were from their town, like their area, their town. Many of the men had children.
Mhm.
23 of the accused had previous cases, including 6 for DV and 2 for sexual violence.
Well, that's not surprising.
5 of the men charged had child pornography.
Not surprising.
So 12 of these guys appealed their indictment, but the Court of Appeals was like, no.
Heck no.
Nope. Nope, nope, nope. So the good news with this is that there has been, I don't know that there can ever be justice for what they did to Gisele,
Mm-mm.
but they are being held accountable to the extent that the court can with the way that the
Mm.
laws are. So I'm pleased that once they stepped in,
Mhm.
they really did round these guys up, and they had
Good.
airtight cases and all the things, right?
Yeah.
Partially because Dominique is such a good historian.
Yeah.
And also, what kind of idiot
Mm.
does something like this on film? I mean, he could have gone and demanded money from them. I mean, this is blackmail material for life. It's not. The
He
whole thing
doesn't
is crazy.
sound that smart.
I know. But
He
he
doesn't
was organized.
Yeah, organized, but have
Organized. But you know what I think it was? I think it was mutually assured destruction.
hmm.
So I think the fact that he had film and the guys knew that he was doing this meant
Mhm.
neither of them would ever go public because
Oh,
it would
yeah, for
take the
sure.
other one down, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah.
So, couple
Mm.
psychological pieces for Giselle, our survivor. Profound psychological trauma, obviously, and physical health effects
Mhm.
of all of this,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
And it's been incredible to see how France, the country, has embraced this woman.
Good.
They have embraced her and they held signs
She deserves it.
outside the courtroom. They held signs, Merci, Giselle. Thank you, Giselle,
Mm.
because she's representing survivors in the court system
Yeah.
in such a beautiful, strong, empowered way.
Yeah.
Couple real quick things just to talk about. The media kept using the term revenge over justice, that the court case was all about revenge
Hmm.
instead of justice.
Okay.
Why is that problematic, do you think?
Revenge on her end?
Yeah, that this whole thing, this court case, this pursuit of all of these offenders, that she's getting revenge for what he did. Like she's
But
finally
that's
getting
not
her
what's
revenge.
happening. That's not what's happening.
Well, yeah.
It's getting
Justice.
justice for what happened to her. If we look at it from a revenge standpoint,
Oh, yeah.
first of all, here's the thing. You know me. Like, I'm a little bit more crass than others.
Mm-hmm.
Revenge would be that she would off him
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
and like go look for the other guys,
Go
right? Like,
ham. She'd go Deca.
yes. So this is, yeah, if we view it in a stance of revenge,
Mm-hmm.
one, we're teaching a lot of other victims that revenge is the way to go, and it's not, because you don't get justice with revenge.
Well, and this is a patriarchal concept. It's
Right.
all based on her female hysteria that this
Mm.
must be
Oh,
revenge.
that's ridiculous.
She's getting her revenge. They're not being critical of her,
No, I
but
know. I
they're
get it.
characterizing it as revenge when, like you said, what it is justice, plain and simple. It's
It's
justice.
justice. Yeah, I mean, if we view it as revenge,
Yep.
it does paint it as like she's now off her rocker.
Yeah. Well, off her rocker, or that the criminal justice system is taking revenge on her behalf, which is not the thing. Justice is calmly played
Mhm.
out. Boom, boom, boom. This is the law.
Mhm.
Justice is you go to prison. You can't hurt anybody else.
Mhm.
And your life is now affected because you
Yeah.
affected someone else's life. That's justice.
I think people take revenge when justice isn't served well,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Revenge happens usually later
Yes.
when someone, I mean, that's like what's Maureen, whatever her name was that I did, the case
Mm-hmm.
I just did, right? That was revenge for
Absolutely.
her killing her daughter's killer,
Yes. Well, and
right?
the thing that's interesting about this whole case is it's really challenging societal norms and stereotypes about marriage
Mm,
and gender roles. So
mm,
the notion that a survivor would stand up to 50 men
mhm,
who raped her and go to court again and again and again and again in all of these cases
mhm,
is incredible.
mhm.
And also thinking about the fact that just because you are married does not mean you are entitled to sex with your partner. You're not.
No, you're not.
You're just not. But people
No,
still kind of think that
go watch Consent Tea. It's literally consent tea, like tea,
that you
drinking
drink
tea.
when you want to,
Yes,
not when you don't.
go watch it.
Go watch it. Show it to your children. Well,
Mm.
not little kids because there's an F bomb in there, but definitely
I think
watch it.
there's a clean version.
Oh, watch the clean version. There you go.
go.
I do think that it's worth noting that marital rape was not always illegal.
Right. When did it
Not
become
always legal.
illegal? The 90s?
I'm going to look.
I guess 91 or 95. I don't know why.
Just feels right.
Feels right.
93.
Oh, between there.
On July 5th, 1993, marital rape became a crime in all 50 states under at least one section of the sexual offense codes. There you have it.
There it is.
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
Until then, 93.
Hmm.
I
Oh
was
yeah, no, it's ridiculous. I knew it was like
9 years
relatively.
old, Natalie. I was 9 years old.
No, I know. I remember thinking when I learned it when it was in the 90s.
Before that, rape was only if you forced intercourse with a woman who is not your wife. Your wife, fair
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Oh, patriarchy. Damn.
Yeah.
Makes
Same
me
thing
so
with
mad.
affairs. Affairs used to also be illegal, I'm pretty sure.
Well, and also they used to be, well, and still are in some states, that
Hmm.
you can be faulted for that in a divorce, the whole thing.
Hmm.
We've got some definite heart pieces in this one.
Hmm.
The crimes were horrific,
Hmm.
but the bravery is incredible,
Hmm.
you know? And I think people do insane things for so many different reasons.
Hmm.
And justice is important. Like, we need to have a process to hold people accountable. Even though the criminal justice system is broken and imperfect, like all of our
Yeah.
systems,
Yeah.
we have to have something.
Yeah.
What's the alternative?
Well, and here's the other piece too. How long were they married?
They got married in the 70s. So they were like almost 50 years married.
That's insane. Here's the other thing. For her to have the guts
Mm.
to turn her husband in, or I mean, it's not like she found out
Yeah,
through,
but she stood up in court.
but she didn't back down.
Uh-uh.
She it wasn't like she was like, no, we've been married 50 years, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't do the whole thing that is so easy for a lot of victims and survivors to do, which is make excuses or figure out some loophole to
Mm-hmm.
cover for their husband or for their partners.
Yep.
He didn't do that. I mean, this is her husband of 50 freaking years.
Yep.
And she's like, two middle fingers up in the best way of,
Yeah.
heck no, this is not going to be how this goes down.
Well, no, and she waived her right to a private trial, which I
Yes.
think is the most brave. I mean, Nat, they had video, they had images. Like this was very vulnerable.
Yeah.
Go through this court case, and she's not having it. She's
Mm-mm.
just going to get in there and be so bold and so brave to
Mm-hmm.
stare down all of these men, many of whom had families and children and were
Mm-hmm.
already hurting people. And she stared them down. And I don't know what the laws are in France, but it could be that if she dropped the cases, maybe they'd never face justice. But she
Right.
didn't.
Right.
Isn't
Yeah.
that just such an intense story?
I'm just so glad she didn't,
Me too.
you know?
So I think we join all of France, particularly the women of France, in saying, Merci, Giselle.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so brave and
Mhm.
really just being a role model for survivors everywhere who
Yeah.
face down the perpetrators in court.
Yeah.
It is so brave.
It's those of you guys who have been victims and who are survivors, and, I think my biggest encouragement is if you are going through that right now, like there is a way out and there can be justice.
Yeah, and it's
I mean,
illegal. If you're in the US, it's
mhm,
illegal. If you're being raped by your husband,
mhm,
I have worked with women who've been raped by their husbands. If you're being raped
mhm,
by your husband, get out, get
mhm,
help,
mhm,
press charges, stare them down in court,
mhm,
you know, if you
mhm.
can. If you can't, just get out.
Yep. If you can get out, and if you feel like you can't get out, start looking for resources.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
that's a tough case.
It's a tough case. And Dominique, see you never.
Yeah. Bye.
Deuces.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Ugh.
So, thank you for listening to this case,
Yes.
and we'll see you next week.
As always.
Bye, forensic friends. I'm Janine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening, and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.